Pasangan asal Amerika Serikat ini awalnya mengaku sangat tidak tertarik dengan negara-negara Asia Tenggara termasuk negara Malaysia. Menurut pemikirannya bahwa ASEAN hanya tempat ketiga untuk dikunjungi. Kalau tidak terpaksa ya tidak akan datang ke sana. Lalu tiba-tiba suatu hari mereka mendapat satu undangan dari keluarganya yang ada di Malaysia dan akhirnya pasangan ini terbang juga ke Malaysia, guys. Dan apa yang terjadi? Negara Malaysia yang sebelumnya tak pernah mereka utamakan, tak pernah mereka prioritaskan, bahkan sempat mereka kucilkan, sekarang berhasil membungkam mulut orang-orang yang selama ini meremehkan Asia Tenggara. Dan akhirnya kini dua pasangan asal Amerika tersebut menjadi perwakilan dari Amerika Serikat yang selalu mempromosikan Malaysia lewat blog yang ia tulis kepada semua orang di Amerika dan seluruh dunia. Nah, bagaimana cerita lengkapnya? Kita saksikan di video ini.
Taylor, welcome back to my channel. I'm an American expat living in Malaysia, and I like to share my life and travels with you. This is part 2 of a 2-part video of my sister and brother-in-law's trip to Southeast Asia. The first part was about Vietnam. This part's going to be about everything we did in Malaysia. Boy, did they love it. Stay tuned.
Oke guys, jadi masalah ini sebelumnya pernah aku reaksi ya guys ya. Lanjut.
Now, before we talk about Malaysia, why don't you give us a little bit of background about what you did? You're both, well, Liz is semi-retired and Phil is retired. Tell us a little bit about what you've done in your careers.
Well, I retired a couple of years ago as an environmental organizer for the Sierra Club, working for clean air and clean water in Florida. And recently I've been still working for clean water as a volunteer. It's ironic to come to a place Vietnam where they don't have clean water yet. And so it's very important to, respect the resources that we have. We want to make sure that the whole world appreciates the natural world that we have and that we don't lose it. And tourism is one way of providing value for people to maintain the natural world that they have instead of overdeveloping it.
Right. And what did you do, Liz?
Well, I'm a writer, still a writer, primarily for businesses, and I write blogs, for instance. So a little bit similar to what you're doing here with YouTube.
Blogger
And,
ya.
Basically, that's
Blogger.
it. I started out my career in newspapers, knowing that I just always wanted to write for a living, and I've always been able to do that in my career, and I feel really fortunate and blessed.
That's great.
And when we get home, you're going to be writing about the places we've traveled to get people to come visit them.
Yes, that's for sure. I've been trying to take notes, and it's going to be an exciting thing to remember the trip that way.
Okay. Now, let's talk about Malaysia, because most of my viewers are from Malaysia. Now, you first came to Kuala Lumpur and stayed in my building in an Airbnb, and then to Penang and stayed there 3 nights, and now we're in Cameron Highlands for a couple nights, and then back to KL for a night, and then they're back to Vietnam and then back home. Tell me a little bit about your impressions of Malaysia and starting in KL and how it differs from everything you've seen.
Well, Kuala Lumpur is an astonishing city. We sent pictures back home. We had to tell our friends, that's the second tallest building in the world. Look at those tall towers. It looks like, city of the future. It looks like we went to another planet.
Kota masa depan.
And really, most Americans don't realize that there is so much there, and that people come there to see that. It was really impressive.
A lot of people think of anything in Southeast Asia as third world. And
Oh my goodness.
No, that's what I told my friends. It's not a third world country, y'all. This is a new, modern, clean, sparkling city. Bigger than New York and a lot cleaner.
what did you think of Kale, Liz?
I really liked it. It's I wish we had gotten to see a little bit more, but the views really are what stand out to me. We had a beautiful view from our room.
Right.
And we're going to stay in a place for our last night, which is actually tomorrow night, where we're going to have a really great view of the Twin Towers. I was really struck by the shopping malls. They seemed like a great place to escape the heat. But I was also really pleasantly surprised. I was really afraid that it was going to be way too hot.
Oke guys,
And I
kita
thought it
pause
was a
ini.
lot
Mohon
more
maaf, kita
pleasant.
pause dulu. Dan guys ya, ini adalah pesona pertama yang membuat orang asing ini begitu sangat takjub dengan negara Malaysia. Apa itu? Dengan negara yang bersih, modern, dan gedung-gedung yang tinggi dan amat rapi guys. Itulah puncak awalnya mengapa mereka itu sangat-sangat senang berada di sana guys. Oke, kita lanjutkan lagi. Kita akan melihat berikutnya ya guys ya. Apalagi yang membuat mereka sangat terkejut dengan Malaysia. Okay, play.
And just better weather than I had expected.
Well, and really, you were there during probably the hottest time of the year. But I always tell people that the average temperature in Malaysia is 86 degrees. So that's very comfortable.
Right, I agree. And in fact, it was much hotter in parts of Vietnam when we were there, because it gets up in the 90s and even 100 degrees. So really, after going there and going to Malaysia, it felt like a relief. In
Wah,
Malaysia.
melegakan di
And
Malaysia
then,
ya.
Of course, here we are in Cameron
Oh,
Highlands,
Cameron
where
Highlands.
it's chilly, which was actually why we came.
Yeah, I had never been to Cameron Highlands either. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it is colder than I expected. So then we drove to Penang, and I have to say, it was one of the least pleasant driving experiences I've ever had in my life. Now, it's normally about a 4-hour drive to Penang. I somehow didn't realize that it was the King's birthday weekend, and everyone was going to go to Penang. So a 4-hour drive turned into 7.5 hours of stop and go, and I kept thinking, oh, we're going to get past this, and we never did until we got to Penang, and we were really tired when we got there.
What did we average? 50 kilometers an hour?
48 kilometers
48.
an hour.
Even.
Which is about 30 miles an hour. And I was anxious to show them Penang, because as you all know, I lived there for 7 years, and I know it pretty well, and I just love Penang. So I want to hear your impressions of Penang.
Oh, we really loved Penang. It's so much. There's so much to see there. My favorite thing was the botanical garden.
The old British colonial garden, which has some very formal gardens, and then we found a trail going up into the rainforest, where the temperature drops because you're in deep shade, and it was just a fantastic trail, 1.5 kilometers. Looping around, and that was a real joy to get out of the sun and into the shade in the rainforest there. So, and it's free. You just walk
Right. The gardens are all free, and it wasn't crowded at all
No.
when we were there. We were there in the afternoon. And the funny thing is the main reason why we went was Andy wanted to show us the monkeys.
They didn't even plan to go to the Botanic Gardens, but then I had to go get some petrol, so they went in the gardens while I was gone and said, hey, don't come back to get us yet.
Yeah, we're going to be here a few hours. Yeah, and by the way, that walk up that Phil described, it's not that difficult at all. They have good steps and a really good handrail, so it's very safe, actually.
That's great. And then I took them on a tour of the UNESCO area of Georgetown. And unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of time, so we just went in the car, and it was really hot. It was really hot down there. But I think I gave them a good overview.
Oh,
What was your impression of that?
Georgetown. amazing diversity. This block are these people, the next block are those people, the Chinese, the Hindu, the Malay, Muslims, they all get along. The thing that really struck me is there's a tall white monument to Queen Victoria. And then there is a mosque monument, a tower, about the same size, very similar in dimensions. And it just shows you that you have those cultural differences there living side by side in a very harmonious way. I was really
Berdampingan.
impressed. I don't know where I've ever seen such diversity in such close quarters.
Yeah.
Berdampingan dan saling
And I
toleransi ya.
must say, Andy is an expert driver getting through those narrow roads.
If you can hire Andy as your driver, Taylor for hire.
Yeah. He was really good at winding
Thank
in
you.
and out. And then the other thing I really appreciated was hearing the call to prayer.
Oh, azan.
It was so beautiful.
Sangat
Take that for
indah ya.
granted when we live here, but yeah, it is. When I first moved here too, I thought it was so exotic and so beautiful.
It's ethereal. It really is.
So we stayed in a nice Airbnb that had a beautiful ocean view, and it was right near where Jill lived and right near where Ellen and Paul lived. And so we went out to dinner the first night with Ellen and Paul, and so they got to meet them and Jill. And we had a great time there, and that was at Straits Key, which is about the most western place you can find
Yeah.
in Penang. But it's a great place to go for dinner because it's overlooking the water and the marina. It's really nice. The next day, we were confused about what to do because I was concerned about the traffic. It was bad, and I was worried about people going back home. So anyway, we just went back to the Botanic Gardens and took a Jeep up to the top of Penang Hill. Now, normally I've taken the funicular and I've never done the Jeep before, but I heard after the fact
Cable
that
car,
the
yeah.
funicular was horribly crowded. So we did the right thing. It was way more expensive than using the funicular, but it was great. We had a private driver take us to the top, and then we called him when we were ready to come back down, and we went to Habitat, which I had never been to. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
I'm a history buff, and it was amazing to me. I never heard this. Right after the Revolutionary War, the British came here and established a new colony, a new city, and in 1788, Fort Cornwallis. And in 1793, they built their first hill fort at the very top there, so they could watch out for Napoleon's navy coming around the bend. But then this lovely place, way up in the mountains, very cool, very high, became the place for the British elite. And now it's a UNESCO site where people come, and there is a circular walkway where you can have a 360 view, just walk around the whole thing, and you can see everything. You can see Georgetown, you can see the mountains, you can see the mountains in the clouds. It's terrific. And you get to see the monkeys, because the monkeys are there,
Oh,
and
boy.
the monkeys
Up
come along
close
with you.
and personal.
Yeah, monkey in your face. No, they're you don't feed the monkeys. They apparently somebody has, because they're looking for it. But no, the monkey encounter was really terrific.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. I highly recommend going there. Don't miss it.
So we had a little snack up there and then went back down and then had another dinner. And is that about it that we did in Penang? Because it's just 3 nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first day was totally taken up by driving there. So I didn't have any time to do
But that was
anything
fun.
there. Yeah.
Oh, I took a nap in the back seat. Lucky me.
So then the next morning we went to one of my favorite places for breakfast, Let's Meet. And I haven't been there since I moved, so it's been over a year. And one of the wait staff recognized me, so I loved that. Not because of my channel, but because I used to eat there. And then we headed off to Cameron Highlands. And like I said before, I had never been to Cameron Highlands, and I was so looking forward to it because I just thought it was going to be gorgeous. And I knew it was going to be cooler weather, but I didn't realize how cool it was going to be. Because like tonight, it's like going to get down to 16 degrees Celsius, which is pretty chilly for me. I didn't even bring a sweater or long pants, and I just brought my flip-flops, so I'm horribly underdressed. Well, that's a typical problem in Malaysia, Liz, but particularly up here, I think, because of the dampness and moisture and mildew and stuff like that growing. It's probably harder to keep up on that. But you're right. I mean, they do need to keep up on it better than they do.
Up the road in here, this area, there's something called the Mossy Forest, and that is an ancient rainforest. There's not much of it left. They've really developed this area because it's a fabulous place to grow tea, to grow
Ooh.
strawberries and blueberries and a lot of stuff like that, and that's great. But they really didn't rein in development to keep it manageable.
It's a shame because I had the impression that Cameron Highlands was going to be, that I would like it better than Genting Highlands, which I haven't been to either. But since being here, I think I'm probably going to like Genting Highlands better. And Genting Highlands is only 45 minutes from Kuala Lumpur instead of 4 hours.
But people come from all over Asia to holiday here. So, I guess we all like the
Orang
cool air.
Asia.
We like the
If
cool
the
air.
cool air is definitely, I
Highland.
think, worth it if you're really hot in the summer. I think I would be really careful about picking a place
Yes.
because the place that I found on Booking.com, although I've done great on Booking.com otherwise, it was a disappointment.
Yes.
And we've done so well with every place else.
Yeah, we have.
It's fine. It's comfortable, but
It feels old and run down.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of new hotels here,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
plenty of posh accommodations if that's what you want.
Yes. Tomorrow we head back to KL for your last night there, and then you're off to go home. But I just want to say thank you so much for doing this interview that my viewers have been waiting for, and coming to visit me
Oh.
after all this time that I've been here, and finally learning to travel. She didn't want to come for the longest time.
And let me just tell you, people, a lot of my friends have asked me, what tour are you on? How have you put together such an amazing trip to go to all these places? Because I've been sharing my photos on Facebook, and I say, well, my wife did the research, she planned it all, and you can do it too. You can go to all the places that we're talking about. Just do your research and figure it out, and don't be afraid because it's pretty easy, really.
Well, I must say Southeast Asia it's been life-changing
Wah,
for me.
mengubah hidupnya
I
ya.
really do hope we
Malaysia
get back
berhasil mengubah
after
hidupnya,
waiting so
terutama di
long.
Asia Tenggara ini,
And
guys.
Andy, I love you.
Love you too. So thanks a lot, you guys. Well, wasn't that fun getting to meet Liz and Phil finally? If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and check the notification bell too, so you won't miss any of my
Subscribe dulu.
future videos.
Link udah aku taruh di deskripsi,
I've
guys.
enjoyed so much this trip with my sister and brother-in-law, but I'm looking forward to getting back to KL and Earl Grey, who is probably missing me horribly. And don't be worried, he's being taken care of. I know you're going to ask in the comments who's taking care of Earl Grey. But that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Talk to you later.
Dan demikian tadi kita baru saja mereaksi tentang bagaimana pengalaman selama di Malaysia ya dari pasangan asal Amerika Serikat ya guys ya. Dan di sini banyak sekali yang ia cakap ya, sehingga menit waktu hingga sampai ke menit 16 ya guys ya. Namun poin-poinnya saja kita lihat di sini bahwa dia cakap ya di awal Malaysia itu jauh lebih bersih dari Florida. Ini bukan dari negara Asia Tenggara lainnya guys ya, namun dia membandingkan terhadap kota Florida. Kuala Lumpur itu jauh lebih bersih dari kota Florida yang ada di Amerika Serikat, dan ini adalah kesaksian dari orang Florida sendiri ya guys ya. Dan selanjutnya lagi ia sangat takjub dengan pemandangan indah yang ada di Malaysia. Bukan hanya kotanya saja, bukan hanya tataan kota yang baik, yang indah ya guys ya, namun pemandangan alam tentang apa itu pepohonan, dedaunan, dan juga sungai, laut, apapun tentang alam ya guys ya, dia amat menyukainya ketika berada di Malaysia karena pemandangan itu sangat original dan mampu dijaga oleh masyarakat Malaysia dengan sangat baik guys ya. Dan hal lainnya lagi, dia sangat tertarik dengan suara azan. Nah, suara azan orang Melayu Malaysia mampu membuat dia tertarik, mampu membuat dia takjub dengan suara tersebut ya. Bahkan banyak sekali Mina Saleh dan Mat Saleh menjadi seorang mu'alaf ketika mendengar suara azan ya guys ya. Ketika secara terus-menerus didengarkan suara azan itu, maka kebanyakan dari bule-bule ini tertarik dan juga penasaran ya tentang budaya dan juga tradisi yang ada di Islam ya. Makanya itu banyak dari mereka ketika mendengar suara azan dan mempelajari tentang Islam, maka mereka juga menjadi seorang mu'alaf ya. Dan mudah-mudahan pasangan ini juga termasuk ke dalam golongan itu ya. Oke, selanjutnya lagi, ia kata bahwa Malaysia telah berhasil merubah mindsetku selama ini ya, merubah hidupnya yang mana di awal dia meragukan negara Asia Tenggara yang wajib untuk dikunjungi, dan sekarang ia menyatakan bahwa negara di Asia Tenggara terkhusus Malaysia adalah sebagai negara utama dan prioritas ketika berwisata. Nah, pilihan yang paling utama itu adalah negara yang ada di Asia Tenggara terlebih. Nah, teman-temannya pada penasaran guys, kenapa kok bisa mereka berfoto di tempat-tempat yang indah dan banyak sekali dari teman-teman mereka yang sangat penasaran lokasi dari tempat foto itu. Nah, secara tidak langsung maka Mat Saleh dan Mina Saleh ini telah juga ikut mempromosikan negara Malaysia kepada teman-temannya dan juga kepada publik yang ada di Amerika Serikat ya guys ya. Nah, banyak sekali ya terjadi hal-hal seperti ini. Aku juga telah banyak mereaksi. Awalnya dia tidak tahu dengan Malaysia dan menyamakan Malaysia dengan negara-negara lainnya. Namun ketika sudah masuk ke Malaysia, maka mereka barulah menyadari bahwa negara Malaysia itu memiliki perbedaan. Negara Malaysia itu sangat spesial guys ya. Tak jarang dari mereka itu ketika sampai di negara Malaysia tak ingin pulang. Bahkan jika sudah pulang pun masih terbayang-bayang kepada negara Malaysia. Tak jarang dari mereka itu akan kembali lagi untuk berwisata ke Malaysia. Baiklah guys, demikian dari video aku. Semoga Anda semua terhibur dengan video ini, dan aku mohon undur diri. Mohon maaf jika ada kesalahan dan salah sikap serta salah perilaku aku. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.